This is our second video of this session. I know what you might be thinking. This video is a bit longer than 10 minutes. I beg apology, but I did it intentionally. While making this video, I have came up with a very interesting problem after running the app for the first time. You will also see it later. Please like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon to get notified about the latest tech trends in Alcoholic. Hello everyone. Ian here. So in this video, we are going to make a very funny, cool, storyteller app. By making this application, we will learn about the concept of TextSwitcher in Android. At the end of this video, I promise, you will be able to launch your own storyteller app and share it or brag it about to your friends. So let's start. Open Android Studio. Now let's make a new project. Go to File, go to New, click on New Project. Select an empty activity, click Next. Let's name it My Storyteller App. Finish. Okay, so, in our previous video, we have customized our layout or the user interface of the app by simply dragging and dropping widgets from the palette. Well, that's fine, but being a programmer I would always suggest you to know how to write codes to get it on the window. We need XML editing to customizing the UI in Android. Well, that's not that much hard as you might be thinking. Follow me. By default, when you click on your layout.xml file, it shows like the window you are viewing now. In our previous video, you have seen how to add widgets like button, text view, etc. by simply dragging and dropping them from the palette, but here we will do it in a different way. We will write lines of code which would result in the development of a customized layout. For this we need to write codes in XML. XML stands for Extensible Markup Language. Android layouts or simply UIs are programmed using this XML file. Alongside we will keep a preview option on, so that you can easily understand how is XML written. That's a better way of understanding XML. So this is the design view of your XML file or simply your layout. Instead we will switch to the text view. Move your pointer at the left bottom corner, click on text option. Okay, so, now you can see the text or the actual codes behind the UI of your app. Now, simply, a constraint layout is residing as a component. See how it is written in the XML editor. So all its attributes are stated within a lesser than sign, the widget name, a slash and a greater than sign. I think it's not that much hard to get the syntax, since it is a markup language. Now there can be another syntax, which means, same as the above one. Instead of ending a tag with a slash and greater than sign, we would end it like, lesser than sign, widget name. Then attributes, lesser than sign. Something contained within and again, the tag ended, in this time with a slash before the widget name. Let's do it practically. Oops, a little but great mistake. It should be like, whatever we want on the, or inside the constraint layout. We will create them here, inside this constraint layout tags. See, the codes I am writing, and simultaneously the reproduction, in the design preview. This is the best way to understand XML. No need to give it a chunk of time. Instead of using a constraint layout, we will use a relative layout. Just change or replace it programmatically as I am doing. Now let's give a heading to the story of our Storyteller app. For this we need to include a text view. Okay, so now we will use a special widget, known as the TextSwitcher. A TextSwitcher can hold one or more than one text, but only one at a time. Let's give our story a heading. The story of Android. Okay, now in our Storyteller app, we need two buttons. One for the next lines of our story, and one for the previous lines. Let's write them out on the XML editor. Meanwhile, notice the syntax of providing IDs to each widget. We will include a horizontal linear layout to contain the buttons. Here's how to define the buttons. Make sure you write them within the linear layout tags. See, inside the horizontal linear layout we have included two buttons, but the problem is they are not looking symmetric. They collapse on the left side. Let's see how to resolve that. Simply put weight to each of the widgets to resolve this. So now it looks good. Now let's put IDs to the button, to refer them in the future. Okay, so we are all done with our layout file. Now let's move to the MainActivity.java file. First, declare the widgets inside the MainActivity class. Here we have two buttons and a text switcher. We don't need the text view, since it won't be taken into any operation. Now, we will declare some strings. Now a string in Java is basically an object that represents a sequence of characters. Simply, we can say that, in this Storyteller app, we need some story lines or sentences, which are nothing but one-dimensional sequences of different characters as well as white spaces. Now, we will require more than one story lines. So, more than one string objects. Instead of declaring them individually, rather it's a good idea to make an array of string objects. Now, in the context of Java, an array is a group of like-typed variables or similar type of variables referred to by a common name. We will discuss in detail in our Java session. Now just let's use it on purpose. Now, in our app, we will require more than one story line, so we will declare an array of strings, and our story lines are those string values we are going to assign. See, inside an array the elements need to be separated by putting comma between them. Okay, see, in Java in an array, the positions of the array elements are indexed from 0 onward instead of 1. Which means, say there is an array with 4 elements, then the last element is in the position 3, and the first element is in the position 0. In our Storyteller app, by clicking on the previous and next buttons, we will actually index through the array of strings differing by positions. So let's declare an integer, which will specify the current position during the run time. Fine, so let's bind the widgets in our Java file referring to their IDs. Here we will implement a method known as setFactory and override the makeView method. It returns a widget view. The only work left is to specify on-click listeners to the buttons, and specify their functions. Okay, so when the next button is pressed, we have to first check whether the current position is the last position or not. Obviously in Java, the last position is given by 1 less than the length of the array. And then if the current position is less than the last position, we can move to the next position. Which means we will increase the value of position by 1. Let's implement. Similarly, if we click the previous button, we first need to check whether the current position is greater than the first position or 0th position. And after checking, if true, then decrease the position value by 1. Let's implement. Now let's run the application. Well, see, when we start our app, it starts from our second story line. This is because the initial value of position is 0 by default, and on clicking Next button it is set to 1. And thus the 1th or the second element of the array is found. So, a simple solution is, just set the initial value of the mPosition integer variable to -1. Set the position of the mPosition integer variable to -1. So that when next button is pressed, it is set to 0, and the first element is shown. Now let's run the application. Hey, it's working pretty good. Hope you can make your own too. Surely share your experiences if you make one. Good luck. Thank you for watching.